Okay, folks, back with one more episode of Just Another Cricket Podcast. And let's get straight away to my first question with the World Cup is in its last leg and things really heating up. So, my question to Devankur first. See, India is not actually that bad a team when you look at some of the recent results where, Australia won just by 4 runs against Afghanistan, and then today, just the last couple of balls finished for England as well. You suddenly realize this is the format of the game, and when pretty much every team is playing their best 11, we still don't have the likes of Jadeja and Bumrahs and the others, right? So while we have won a couple of close games, but again, India is not that bad a team.
Yeah, correct. The format is such. This does not give you that much of breathing space, and that's the reason why you could see certain surprises coming up if some team or rather one person in one particular team falters for that particular day, and that's what we've been seeing. Right? There's a whole lot of hue and cry about how India is trying its best, or rather the Indian administrative BCCI and everybody is trying its best to get India into the semi-finals. But it is, you know, the flavor of the game, right? We've all seen how Pakistan lost the match to Zimbabwe. They lost it by one single run. So we could always say, we could always point fingers there as in why didn't they play it better? But that's how it is. There will be no surprises if India slips up against Zimbabwe tomorrow. Because again, just to reiterate on that point, this is how the flavor, this is how the match moves. In a 20-over match, it is so small, it is so compact that only one player can actually have an impact. It's not like a test match wherein 4 or 5 people can chime in. Even in ODIs, couple of players, 3 players can actually turn around the fate of a match. But in a T20 international, one single person, even if he comes down to bat at number 7, scores a 30 or 5 balls, he is converting the match into their own favor. You've seen how Shadab has played a couple of last matches. Like he's the main factor why Pakistan is doing so well. Have you seen Pakistan top order batting? They are batting like shitheads. But since the middle order and the end lower order batsmen are playing well, is the reason why they're playing well right now. So to
And
reiterate, yeah,
no, just finish. Sorry. I just
to
interrupted.
confirm your absolute point absolutely is you cannot say that there's one particular team who's the best right now. It is just the team who plays the better game on that particular day is going to win.
Correct, and that's how the format is. And right into that context, Gopal, if tomorrow Pakistan wins against Bangladesh, which should not be a cakewalk, they are going to kick themselves at their back because they lost that match against Zimbabwe because they would have been in the semi-finals.
Absolutely, and with all due respect to Bangladesh as well, I see I don't see I don't see an upset coming up against Pakistan. Pakistan has the momentum because don't forget Pakistan has just beaten South Africa, which was a extremely formidable team, and they had beaten South Africa with a humongous margin, not a very small margin. The only bit that is going to be a bit advantageous for India is going to play the last match of the league. So India will exactly know what exactly is the. I mean, even if they lose, God forbid, even if they lose the match,
They are out.
even
If Pakistan wins, India is out even if they lose.
but I don't know. I mean, I'll have to see on the
That's how the
Yeah, it
calculation
is.
is.
Net run rate,
If
Pakistan is
Pakistan
plus
wins,
1 point
India has to
something.
win.
Correct. So India will know what margins of runs they shouldn't lose it out in order to ensure that the NRR goes above Pakistan. So
if India does not have a chance of going over net run rate by losing the match.
correct.
They can
So
do it if Bangladesh wins and Bangladesh scores 6 points. India can still lose and go to semi-final by a better run rate than Bangladesh.
correct. Bangladesh.
Correct.
So that is the only hope. But then you're right. I think Pakistan. I mean, if you look at it, our initial episodes that we had, we actually predicted India and Pakistan from this group, and Australia and England, or Australia and England were from the other group uh, to come into the semis actually, because knowing, I mean, we knew that Pakistan's top order should would have performed. Their middle order was actually a bit hazy, and their bowling was superb. In this competition, it was the other way around. The top order actually has not performed that well. The middle order has actually cleaned it out. So
Correct.
And Babar was a concern. I mean, if Babar probably would have clicked on a couple of close matches, probably things would have been different for Pakistan completely.
Yeah, and I'm almost itching to ask quite a few questions to all of you. So, maybe the first question, back to you, Gopal. You spoke about India playing the last match and they're playing last, so they know, what the calculation is going to be and all. Just to be from a fair standpoint as a cricket fan, don't you think, like football, the last league matches should start at the same time rather than one team playing
Ideally,
in the
yes.
afternoon and the other in the evening,
Ide-
because that's
I,
unfair
I,
advantage.
ideally, yes. I think that is a rule that probably ICC should really think through it. On the final league of the match, the matches should
I mean,
start at the same point in
they'll
time.
only have to change the rule going forward, because
Exactly. Yeah.
just imagine if this was Pakistan playing their last match
So
and India playing before, there would have been a lot
yeah,
of noise in India as well.
indeed, and I mean, even I see today's match also. I mean, there are a lot of talks. Of course, it was a straightforward match of England winning and England going in, and Sri Lanka winning and Australia going in. Had that not been the case, had that been a case of equal share of points and NRR coming into play, then it makes much more easier for the teams who are going to play last, wherein they exactly know what they should do it and what they shouldn't be doing it. So I agree. I mean, it's a fair point. I think the final league stage matches should be at a same point in time to avoid any information on what is the probable target to achieve the NRR.
Yeah, and Devankur, I think what surprises me, or probably a lot of us, if we really think deep, at the start of any tournament, be it the World Test Championship, with the World Cup of T20s or anything else, the team that never gets selected in the probabilities of the last four is New Zealand. No one picks them, right? But invariably, if you see for the last 8-10 years, you will always see, be it any format of the game, they're playing the finals. Probably they're not winning it, other than the World Test Championship. Even now, when they are the first team to qualify, right? No one is actually saying that, okay, New Zealand is going to be the champion. So they have been throughout an underdog. But what do you think is the real success of this team? It stuns me. You don't have a world class spinner. You don't have a world class, probably not the best of the fast bowlers who gets discussed. The captain is woefully out of the form. Obviously, he scored some runs at a hefty pace in the last match. But otherwise, New Zealand does surprises us. Not only going to the semis, but they actually hit the finals.
Yeah, I mean, that has been their go-to. I mean, we don't give them that much of an importance, but we know that they'll scrape through to the semi-finals at least. If I remember correctly, Gopal is saying that we discussed that England and Australia will go through, but I think we discussed New Zealand to go there because they always are like the CSKs of international cricket, right? CSK still has that flair and that flamboyance. New Zealand does not. But then again, in this format, if I have to mention particularly the T20 format, it is one single player. I've been emphasizing on that point, like one single player on that particular day. If he performs for the team, he can outshine the rest of the 21 other players. And that's what they've seen. That Glenn Phillips century that came up when they were, down and out.
Yeah,
Similarly to what,
down, yeah.
Yeah, they were 4 wickets down, 4.5 run rates for first 11 overs or something. He and Daryl Mitchell scored a 100 strike rate on a 23. But they still went on to score. Yeah. So they still went on to score 170, 180 just because Glenn Phillips did that. So these small little innings, and Trent Bolt has been brilliant. Their spinners have been brilliant. Both Sodhi and Santner has been doing good for them.
And to this, Devankur, you will see they are the probably only team who are playing two specialist spinners. Yes. Being a team not from the subcontinent. I mean, you can say that Nawaz and Shadab are also playing, but not always that they bowl 8 overs of spin. But in New Zealand, you will see Sodhi and Santner both bowling, and they're actually bowling 4 overs. They're bowling wonderful spells, and they're actually slowing it out. Right, they're trying to ask the batsman to hit to the longer part of the ground, and they're actually picking wickets.
Yes, and as we discussed when we were talking about fast and pacey tracks of Australia, we were always discussed. We were thinking whether to play one single spinner or not. we're always thought of an all-rounder being a spinning option, right? When we're talking about India missing out on Jadeja, we're always thinking of maybe having an Aksar or a Deepak Hooda. But if you notice, England also has probably three spinners in their ranks. They are not using Moeen Ali that much, but they have Liam Livingstone, who's a good batsman,
Yes.
but gives them good leg spinning options, and Adil Rashid is a fixture. Same with your Australia. They are using Glenn Maxwell as a second spinning option. He's almost bowling all the 4 overs every matches. So Australian pitches, not only the grounds, even the pitches are helping the spinners. If you've seen, Sydney historically does, but the rest of the pitches also very surprisingly, as Ravi Shastri points out, if it seems it'll spin. The spinners are getting a lot of purchase, lot of help in these tracks, and spinners are here to stay. Here to stay. One
Yeah.
only point is you'll have to be consistent. Santner only bowls off spin. Dhananjay De Silva was only bowling off spin. You can't be wavered like Ashwin. You cannot try 6 different balls on 6 different occasions and try and take up wickets. You'll have to be consistent. If you are an off spinner, your dusra or your slider has to be one of those out of 6 balls. You'll have to
Yeah.
concentrate on bowling slower off spins, which Ashwin is not doing.
Yeah, and
Sadly.
and I want to get to this question next to Gopal. See, I think at least I was not in favor of having Chahal play picked up in the first 11 at the right at the go. But when I see the way Shadab Khan is bowling, and actually he's bowling wonderful length. There is no flight for Shadab Khan. If I don't know if you saw that dismissal of Markram, the one that he bowled, right? That's right coming out of the front of the hand. So it's not spinning in diagonally, it's actually spinning in front of you and it just zips through. And then the likes of Ish Shodhi and Zampa and all. So there are so many leg spinners. You have Adil Rashid. And then India,
Asanga.
who actually has one of the world class leg spinners, probably not great form recently, has not tried them in the first 4 matches. Do you think from here on they're going to try him, especially when you see that in the future tours you don't see Ashwin, which means they probably have started thinking beyond Ashwin. Is this not the right time to get Chahal in before a knockout match, have some bowling in a proper match, and then if they win against Zimbabwe, they go into the semis with a properly seasoned Chahal.
See,
Would you
the
play him?
only
Would you play him if you're the captain?
I might. I mean, I would actually
So
replace.
your match is tomorrow, okay? So if you're the captain, I'm
It
sure
has
you have
to.
decided your 11 today. So what is going
It
to?
is,
I'm not
but I
asking your
don't
11, but will you drop Ashwin tomorrow?
see under the. I mean, if because actually yes, I'll probably test Chahal because leg spinners have been doing really well in this competition with their turning styles. The only thing is we'll have to and Chahal actually, if you remember the 2021 series also. Against Australia in the T20 series, T20 series, Chahal actually had done reasonably well. It is actually going to be a very difficult decision. I don't think the management is going to change the playing 11
No,
unless and until they think.
I'll tell you why. Because if you really want to bowl Chahal, if not in big grounds of Australia, where? That's the first question. Second question
True,
is your spinners are bowling in the middle overs, and if you look at every team, they're picking wickets. If you don't pick wickets between 7 to 15, you're gone. You will either give
exactly.
180 runs
That
or you
is
will
that
have the
is
team chase 180 runs.
that is the challenge that India is having, and then that is one of the reasons that when you say that India has actually not been not I mean on paper they were not looking very strong, but still they are now on the verge of qualifying for semi-finals. Their weakness has always been a spin department, which we have been discussing in our podcast earlier also. I always felt that for these kind of pitches, maybe Ravi Bishnoi was the right choice because of the way he was bowling it out. I mean, if you look at Shadab Khan, Rashid Khan, even your the one I forgot
Adil
his
Rashid.
name.
Warindu Hasara.
No, not
Hasaranga. In
Zampa.
fact, yeah, we
Zampa.
didn't mention about Hasaranga, right? Yeah.
Hazaranga,
Yes.
Zampa. All these people were actually just coming and bowling it on on a flat line. They were not turning the ball much, but they were using the conditions and the pitch to some extent. Ideally, I would have thought Ravi Bishnoi would have used it in a better way than Chahal, and that probably would have given the management also to test Ravi Bishnoi in those conditions. Chahal will actually is going to flight the ball, and in today's case, Shantan and Debankar, you know that. I mean, in Australian grounds as well, you have big batsmen to clear those grounds comfortably if they are going to connect it well. So that is a chance
No,
that
but
they're going to take it out.
see, I think, the problem with Chal is, he was probably getting a little too predictable and he was flighting the ball, but he actually has all
Correct.
the variations. He bowls a
But he was
beautiful
not trying it
flipper
out.
and googly as well,
Correct.
right?
But then he was not trying
Probably,
it out. He was not
yeah,
trying it out. In the last few matches, if you see the confidence of him bowling a good delivery in the playing overs, in the quota of 4 overs, was very less. Every other ball
yeah,
that he was bowling it out was actually going to be predictable. So
yeah,
with that confidence, I don't think management is going to make such a make big changes. But if at all, I mean, they want to do it, I think tomorrow is the right opportunity.
yeah.
I would probably do that, maybe because and probably I'll just add a bit. Zimbabwe, I've not seen them playing leg spin really well, so I'll probably test them out in
Correct,
tomorrow's genuine leg spin and a
correct.
flighting leg spin instead of an off.
Another
Seems like,
another
Devankur wants to add a point. Yeah,
another thing here is that our spinners are not containing also. I mean, if you see Adil Rashid's full series, he's bowled in all the matches 4 overs. I think he's below 6 rate. He just took 1 wicket.
the funny thing is,
Entire series.
he didn't pick any wicket until today.
Yes, today last
Correct.
wicket, only 1 wicket. That's his
Yeah.
entire series, and he's
Yeah.
helping them with keeping the run rate under whatever it is.
Run control. Yeah.
Correct.
Our spinners, you don't have that faith in them that they'll come and give you a 4 overs for 20
What's
runs.
happening in against India is, I'll still say that, your three fast bowlers are actually bowling good, at least at the front, right? Which
Correct.
means your fourth or the fifth bowler, which is
Spinners
the
will
spinner,
get
is actually getting targeted, right?
Mhm.
So that's the point. We'll keep this short with big matches coming up tomorrow, but I still have maybe the last 2-3 questions. Devankur, is it shocking that Australia is out of the World Cup, who are the defending champions, playing at their home? And if you look at their team, right, everyone looks like they can bat and they can bowl and they can hit the ball out of the park. I feel that probably they do not have a lot of variation in pace. If you look at the likes of Stoinis and Marsh and the others, they're pretty much same kind of bowlers. I actually thought that they would have actually played Ashton Agar, which they did not. And then in the last match, surprisingly saw Mitchell Stark sitting out, and they're knocked out of the World Cup. So, is that shocking to you? Do you think that is probably the biggest shock? Even bigger than Pakistan, though they're not out, they can be out.
Yeah, I would say a similar kind of. I'm very happy that England went through. They are the guys who gives much more importance to T20 matches. I mean, they are the guys who initiated this. I'm very happy England going through. If India makes it to number one, we'll have a good semi-final in our hands. Australia, I'm not that shocked because the other team had to go through was New Zealand. I mean, the first match was a decider, so to say, New Zealand versus Australia, and the way that they lost the match to New Zealand, it actually showed their approach. As you say, they're very one-dimensional in their bowling approach. They have Mitchell Stark, who has not been in good form recently. I mean, I don't remember him playing a good enough match in the last 4 or 5 years. I mean, he was terrific bowler up front in all the 3 formats, but he has lost his touch somehow. Maybe injury, maybe coming back from that.
I think he, yeah, and as you said, right, they don't give a lot of importance to T20s. Probably he's more focused bowling length in the test matches. He
Yes.
still gives you an initial good spell if you look at the match
Exactly.
against Ireland, right? But then he never finishes well. He goes for a
Yes.
lot of runs in the last couple of overs because
Yeah.
his Yorkers are these days half length, half volley balls.
Right.
You remember
Yes.
the last year semi-final against Pakistan where I think Fakar Zaman tonked him for 3 or 4 sixes.
And all those were either low full tosses or low pitch
They
deliveries.
were actually half volleys. He tried to bowl the
Yes.
Yorkers and those
Yorkers, but
were
he
going
could
in the
not. Yes.
second stand in the mid wicket. Yeah.
And similarly, Josh Hazelwood for me is like their Bhuvaneshwar Kumar. I mean, he's a good new ball bowler with his height and seam movement. He can do that. But in the end overs, he's not a good bowler. I mean, he has introduced his change of paces. But we've seen in IPL, I think he only plays IPL. If I have to
CSK.
franchise cricket,
Yeah.
CSK is only playing in IPL. He gets hit. Even our Indian batsman hits him in the last couple of overs. Pat Cummins has been terribly out of form in T20 bowling wise. He goes for 50, 60 runs when he plays for KKR.
Even Mark was said that it's time to think beyond Pat Cummins.
Yeah, so these three
But
bowlers.
But
Yeah, but
isn't Pat Cummins going to be the T20 captain post Finch?
Who
I'm
knows?
assuming that Finch is going to retire from T20 after this
No,
exit
that's
of
he'll not
that's
retire, but
probably
maybe he'll retire.
no. He did announce retirement for ODIs, or I don't know. I think probably from ODIs. He did
ODIs.
announce retirement from one of the formats of the game. So I think big matches tomorrow. All three matches
Yes.
are important. I know the Pakistani fans are actually praying that there should be a washout in the Netherlands South Africa game, but the irony is that it's the Pakistan and Bangladesh match happening right after that in the same ground. So if you have so much of rain that one match goes washed out, which
the other
means
match
either the
also,
second match goes washed out as well, or it's a shorter
or it's a
game.
shorter match,
And in a shorter
and
game, the even a weaker team can defeat the stronger
correct.
team, right? But I think uh,
What
it's
is
it's
South
good to
Africa's NRR? What is South Africa's net
there
run
is
rate?
there is no point on
No,
NRR because now the rule says that the first thing that you check if the points are at equal
Number
is
of matches won.
which team one number of matches won. So if there is a washout, Pakistan will go through, of course, provided that they beat Bangladesh as well, right?
Okay. Okay.
So that's how it says. But I think today is the birthday of one of the greats in India. So I think we should end with his contribution to the game of cricket, and more than that, he has been a role model. I probably would have not said this a couple of years ago, but it's not only about scoring runs and winning matches; it's also about the fight back, the resilience he has shown, the composure he has shown. We feel that okay, he's not the captain anymore, and he's not going to be that tiger on the field. He's still that. We still see that excitement when a wicket falls, right? But he has really calmed down. He is really pacing his innings well. He has got into that role of Sachin in his last 4 or 5 years that he was trying to mentor a lot of people as well. He has great bonding with the cricketers from other teams as well. So Virat Kohli that we are talking about, and ironically, he's actually the highest run getter in the tournament. Not at a bad pace. I think he's between 140 to 145 strike rate as well at number three, playing a pivotal role. Uh,
one of the
I'm
reasons,
hope
Chandan, why India has been doing really well in this competition is his form. I mean,
just imagine
if
the
his
Pakistan
form
match, right?
exactly. No, even I mean, even after the Pakistan's match, even I think the Netherlands match where he scored a 50 with Sky, or even in the last match, I believe.
Yeah.
I think he scored he was scoring at a brisk pace.
Yeah.
So in his form, I think he scored a 60 odd in
Yep.
the last
Yeah.
last match against
45 ball
Bangladesh.
65.
Correct.
I think it is a good thing is that probably it's the right time for India to pick. Rohit and Rahul is due for some runs. I'm not going to consider Rahul's 15th in the last match, but they're
Correct.
due for runs, right? You're still winning with almost no contribution from your famed batting lineup. Even Hardik Pandya, he scored a 40 out of 36 balls against Pakistan, and after that there is nothing, right? The bowling has been good. I would still say that you still winning that match against Bangladesh in those wet conditions takes a
Cost.
lot. The catching was excellent. Those skiers, right? So let's say with all probability, I'll end with a probability as we always do. So there's all probability that India wins tomorrow. So of course we're going to see an India, England, and South Africa
New Zealand.
and a New Zealand semi-final. Who's going to play the finals, guys, next Sunday? So basically, I'm asking who's winning from those two semi-finals.
I think India, South Africa.
I
Okay,
also
Gopal?
feel I'll actually feel I'll actually wish that it should be India South Africa, because I mean, beating South Africa in a final or a semi-final has a larger chance for India rather than a New Zealand team, because India has never beaten New Zealand in any of the finals or semi-finals that we have played in a multi-tournament kind of a scenario.
There's always the first time.
There's
Huh?
always a first time.
There's
Like
always a first time.
Pakistan tasted last
But-
time, right?
But
152 for no loss.
But then New Zealand has, I mean, New Zealand also would be aiming for the first T20 title after WTC, and New Zealand would actually prefer India, given the choice. they wouldn't want England to play India
Yeah.
because after the 2019 debacle.
I think professional sides at this stage of the tournaments, they don't care which team comes,
Yeah,
right?
exactly. Devankar put the point pretty clearly that on that particular day, it is on that particular day who gets the momentum. It's just about the 3 balls or 2 balls. Virat Kohli is that those 2 sixes of Harris Rao was completely change of momentum. And the Pakistanis were actually going, I mean, knew that they're going to win the match. Those 2 sixes completely changed the momentum of the match.
It's not only the Pakistanis, almost most of the Hindustanis also thought that
Correct,
Pakistan is
correct.
going to win the match from there.
Correct.
Right?
I mean, 28
So,
of 10, 28 of 8 balls, you don't have much things to do when a
correct,
bowler is bowling at that pace. 2 sixes
correct,
and then the momentum completely gets shifted. So it's
correct.
actually on that particular day who plays well, who has a pressure, who has better handling of pressure, and then I mean the best team should win that particular day.
Correct. So with that, I'll end the session today. I think we should still do a session post match tomorrow when we would know who are the 4
Four
semi-finalists. So
semi-finalists.
thank you so much, boys. I hope you have a good rest of your Saturday evening. It's just getting alive. And thanks to all who are watching and who are following us. If you're liking our content, please continue to support us. It's been fun speaking to all of you, and we are in the last leg of the World Cup. We, hope it happens what we are wishing for. See you all tomorrow. Till then, take care. Good night. This is Shayantan on behalf of Devankur and Gopal signing off. Bye bye.
Right.
Bye bye.